Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 56 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff, and alongside me are the Kimberly and Brandy Loren to my Sue Young. It's Max and Craig, everyone. What's going on, guys?
I call Brandy.
I mean,
yeah, that's fine. I'll take Kimber.
Yeah, I'll
take
whatever.
Brandy Loren is amazing.
Well, that's one of the things we obviously have to talk about. We're going to get right into it. This is the new and improved, I guess. We'll see this is our trial run. A 1-hour show, 60 minutes each week. Just kind of go less here, there, and then we're going to still do our nonsense and games mixed in, but also in a different format outside of this as well. So thank you for tuning in. You guys are coming in numbers, and we can't thank you enough. And thank you to the ones that keep coming back and subscribing and liking. And if you're watching this, we still have a 30% group of people that still watch us and then don't subscribe or like afterwards. Please do it. And if you hate it, thumbs down, and I don't know.
Maybe they're trying to figure out if they like us. They're like, you know what?
I walked myself into that and then try to exit, but so appreciate that.
Like maybe they treat us like a relationship. Like they're dating us, but they're not ready to commit to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling relationship.
Understandable. But with that being said, obviously in a normal show, if this was live, this is what you'd be hearing, but we are live to tape. We're actually taping this on Friday, not doing it live on Saturday. So we're going to keep all this crap in no matter what. Keep the live experience going in our nonsense. But it is live to tape. Join us next week, Saturday, when we come back, though, with Michael Cavaccini here to talk, where he spills the TNA. That's what we call it, spill the TNA.
And now it's time for power rankings. And since we don't have them, we're just going to do my power rankings. Number 1, former champion, Kenny Omega.
Oh, my God. That's all.
That's it.
Number 2, AJ Styles.
Yeah. Number 2 and 3, the Good Brothers. Number 2 and 3, the Good Brothers.
Well,
maybe Pee Wee Styles is number 4.
So we don't have...
We'll
Being
go with
live to tape and doing this on Friday, we will still put out the power rankings on a Saturday. She's on a Saturday schedule, so we'll keep that going. But I don't want to waste any time because we have a lot to talk about. Craig, why don't you hit us with some numbers, if you could see them, and then we'll go from
there. Yeah, kind of close. Let's put my glasses out. Yes, it's me. It's the MIC, Craig, aka Mr. Impact, for the TNAIW channel. And as if you didn't know already, you can find us here, you can find us there, you can find us down there, everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Sounder, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcast. As Jeff alluded to the side of me, I guess I got it right this time. No, I still got it wrong.
Yes,
yes,
that way.
I'm trying to find the
All right.
numbers.
Sorry to our
Okay,
audio
that's
listeners, by the way.
Yeah,
You don't need a point, Craig. Just read them.
yeah, and they've just gone blurry.
That's
Or
okay.
I'm
I'll
going
pick them
blind.
up. I'll pick them up for you. I'll get it right back for you to do the hot topics there. As Craig alluded to, we are everywhere. Twitch, thank you to those who do watch live normally on Saturdays and are subscribing, because we finally made it to affiliate. We are 53. Hey, 53 there. It fluctuates, but a +4 from last week. So thank you guys. And 18, we're in that 18 to 20 that watch us are unique viewers. So that's awesome. Thank you for sticking around and doing that. And then if you don't, I'm still going to thank you from going to Twitch to then watching it on YouTube or listening to our podcast on one of those great platforms Craig already mentioned. We are at 211 in YouTube subscribers, which is awesome. Happening organically now, which is so dope. We're not pushing it. We're not peddling it. And then last episode, 149. And that is one day obviously, before we usually tally these up. So thank you. We're plus 65 there. Minus 19 in podcast, but once again, Saturday morning is our biggest podcast day. So it'll balance out. But between this and State of Impact, I cannot thank you guys enough for being part of this and growing with us. As we always say, one fan at a time, one friend at a time, and we really mean that. So we're growing slowly, but we're happy with it, and thank you for coming back. The one last thing I do want to mention is we're at 2720 on Twitter, which is awesome. It's only a +3, and usually we're more active on there. Usually we live tweet a little bit more, or a little more. We have games and all that, and we kind of did, but after the news on Wednesday, with all due respect, we won't go into that, but I will say rest in peace, Daphne. Yeah, love your work and you as a human being. But that's all we're going to say about that. I'm not going to sit on a high horse here, but we're not going to even advertise that we're talking about her. It to me, the people, and I will at least say that the people that are doing shows and then including that as if it's a fucking advertisement, it's been bothering me. So I haven't been really on the old Twitter machine that much, but we'll get back on there as this dies down, and make sure mental health, as I always say, we're all about it. We know about it. If you need us or need someone to talk to, hit us up. Craig?
Yeah. Agree with everything there. If we know, where we are. But yeah, let's get straight into those hot topics, kicking off with this week's impact on Access TV. We had Taylor Wilde, Jordan Grace, and Mitchell Ellering defeating The Influence. We had Decay defeating No Way. We had Josh Alexander defending his X Division Championship against the returning Jake Crist, defending successfully, I might add. We also had Rohit Raju and Shira defeating Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green. Ace Austin defeated Tommy Dreamer, and in other segments we had Rich Swann attacking the Go Brothers. We had Brandy Loren, now part, under Bridesmaid, and I believe that was Impact for the week. So let's kick it to Max with your thoughts, feelings on the show. What is Impact heading in the right direction towards Bound for Glory, and how do we see what was the best part of the show for you?
So, I feel like it's heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, with there being another, it's not a pay-per-view, but whatever it's going to be, special, I guess they are, before Bound for Glory, I kind of feel like things are building towards that. It's the one negative with the special, because I almost would just like to say, let's just get like a really long build to Bound for Glory as opposed to this little stuff with the specials. But at the same time, it is what it is. I was glad that Ace Austin won, and there's not going to be any Tommy Dreamer involved in that. I was a little scared. I thought possibly they were going to add Tommy, and then like Tommy was going to eat the pin, so that was going to set up like Ace Austin versus Christian Cage, but at Bound for Glory. But I think this is a good way to do that. I did have a little issue with Chris Sabin coming out saying that he was the best X Division champion ever, because if he watches his show, he knows he's not. We did this poll. It's AJ Styles. I'm sorry. He needs to get with the program and understand that we have already voted him as.
Save it for number 5 is what I was getting.
Number 5.
No, I'm saying save it for number 5. That's topic number 5.
Okay, but I'm just saying. But that was that. But I thought that was a good part. I do like the fact that Impact is continuing to have, like with Chelsea Green wrestling with Matt Cardona in these mixed tag matches. They're treating them as normal tag matches, just with a woman. I always hated the fact in WWE when you would have a mixed tag match and it would be like, oh, tag in the other person, and then you're like forced to make the tag. I always thought that was so stupid. And I didn't like that. So I like that they're bringing that in, because I do think that in the long run, I know, G, you have talked about, I don't know if it's you, but I know some people have talked about like Jordan Grace getting a run with like the X Division title. And as long as Impact is continuing to do these mixed tag matches, it leaves open that small possibility that you could see somebody say, you know what, I want to make a run, like a Jordan Grace, or if they would bring in somebody else, I want to make a run at a title like that. So I think that's good. So overall, I thought it was a good episode. I feel like just working towards some of the stuff. I really liked the stuff with Brandon Loren being added. I thought that was interesting. I'm interested. I guess I think it was you that mentioned last episode you weren't sure if Brandy was going to be part of it or if she was going to just be dead and gone. So I think this is so it looks like she's now with Impact, or at least for maybe this storyline is going to be with Impact. So I thought that was interesting. Hopefully they do. I think they could be your next knockouts challengers, and I think building a stable could make it really interesting. And also I feel like with everything that's going on with Violent by Design, I do feel like that's leading to eventually Heath coming in to save Rhino. So I thought there's some things that are building. I'm interested to see how they build towards Bound for Glory, but overall I thought it was a good episode. But that was my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good episode. I think it was it keeps climbing for me, but you're hitting it on the head. It's more of a building. They're building, which I don't mind, because in between we're getting some pretty cool segments that are building, as you said, an impossible stable with Brandy Loren and the Undead Brides. And so cool. Obviously, I mentioned it at the beginning, but I dig all that shit if done right. And I think they're doing it real right now. We can lead to some kind of great feud with Decay, and that would be dope, especially at Bound for Glory. So yeah, they're really building. I didn't mind the Chris Sabin thing. I understand why you said it bothered you, but we knew, and obviously we'll talk about Jay Chris a little more at 5. We had predicted that this isn't the last of the former X Division champions Josh is going to have to prove himself against. I think it goes and continues all the way to Bound for Glory. As you can see in the, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the Victory Road graphic already. Sabin versus Alexander at Victory Road. And then who knows what leads up to his next challenge, which I'm excited about. I like that. I like what Josh said. I like Josh making it the most important title in the world in professional wrestling. Is it? We'll discuss that at number 5, but I think that all of that stuff surrounding him, it just puts him out to look like a star, and he's doing a damn good job with that. Ace, I'm glad he won. Keep it that simple. Tommy, like I always say, is the Terry Funk of our locker room, meaning just like he was in ECW, he comes out there, he's the guy you don't expect to win, he's just putting someone over, developing the storyline between someone they need to quickly gain some steam for, and I think he did that. Did I want him to win? No, but am I glad it happened and it just clean, boom? Yes, I'm glad it's over. Now, for the rest of my time, I'm supposed to talk about Sam Beale's hair. I told him I would. So it's beautiful. It's lovely. Whatever else. Write it down. Yeah, no, joking aside, I thought it was a fun episode. I love, speaking of Sam Beale, the Brian Myers and him segments. The appeasing to my, well, I think it's more Craig's thing, which is the comedy. Craig loves that the cheesiness of that, but I actually enjoy this very much. I think it's short, it's sweet, it's edited greatly to make it look like Brian's always going to lose his mind when talking to Sam. It was a nice way to introduce a Zeke Dice, who me personally am not too familiar with his work. So if he is a signee, this is a really cool way for Brian to develop as the veteran, the most professional wrestler, and then develop some young people and bring them in and give them a spotlight that they deserve, but couldn't just come in on their own as, you know, Sam Beale. Love Sam Beale, but if Sam Beale came out, he wouldn't have gotten a pop his first time out. Maybe Zeke Dice would, but it gives the people like that have the talent, that need to build up, it gives them something right away to latch onto it and make the audience familiar with it. So I like that a lot. I love the pairing, the evil alliance, or whatever you want to call it, the deadly alliance of Morrissey and Moose. I think that can end in only one way, which is one of them, after they're all said and done, not trusting each other. They shake hands and they say, all right, one of us is number one contender. And that's what we do leading into Bound for Glory, which would set up Moose. I prefer, obviously, Bound for Glory series. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I really love that pairing. I'm intrigued. It's something in wrestling that isn't done all the time, so it's really cool and refreshing to see something like that, where two bad guys, two heels get together and say, hey, I don't like you. I don't trust anybody. We're not friends, but let's go out there and handle business on a regular basis and see what it gets us. So I enjoyed that as well. I know there's probably things I'm missing here. But, oh yeah, the influence. I was surprised they lost so early into their creation, but once again, we don't know what there lies for them in the future.
Caleb ate the pin, though,
Doesn't
right?
he always? I think he...
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, with him eating the pin, I don't think it's as bad. Like, had one of the women ate it, I would have been like, oh, that's rough. But he's really that guy who can...
It doesn't lose...
He's the Xavier Woods of the influence, where if you need one of them to eat a pin, it's going to be him. And it doesn't hurt
his what do you call it?
Yeah, because he's horrible
influence,
anyway.
or all of the influence. If they lose, and I was thinking about that, is that they're already a commodity. You don't need to make them the heels that win to get them steam. They're annoying. That's what they're supposed to be. They're all about themselves. They could spin a loss into whatever they want. So...
and that's, they're going to make an excuse for why they lost. That's going to be still fit the way their characters work. So it's not horrible.
I also like Decay, obviously getting what's coming to them, which is, I hope, a monster push, because it would be kind of cool, and maybe the first time in wrestling where tag team champions and tag team champions were in the same group. So I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, no, a lot of setting up, a lot of getting ready for what's coming next. But as you said with the Rhino thing, that's so cool. The VBD shit's always good, but they're obviously playing to the strings of, oh, is Heath coming back or not? And for us smarks to decide if we like that. Yeah, man, I like it. I like where they're headed. I think they need to gain some more steam going from Victory Road on to go balls to the wall. But as I look down and see Victory Road's the only two matches announced so far, I mean, how can you be mad? It's Christian versus Ace Austin, who's one of our newcomers, up and comers, and then Josh Alexander, who's now in the driver's seat but still up and coming, against a legend in Chris Sabin. So two legends against two of our young guys. This is exactly what a partnership should be doing. So, oops, didn't mean to do that.
All right, let's kick it over to this number 2. Rosters on the move. We had, unfortunately, Acey Romero requesting his release, but on the flip side, we have Zicky Dice coming in, and with the potential of Braun Strowman, as well as many others. Braun Strowman, of course, controlling his narrative, coming up soon. How do we feel on these moves? Are we surprised with the Acey Romero move? And has the roster just improving, or is Acey Romero a big loss? Probably not answer this, but Jeff, you kick it off.
No, I don't think he's a triple XL of a loss in the sense of losing him to another thing. And that's nothing against him per se. It's just, look, I've always defended the booking of them, because you'll see it with the new guys coming into, maybe not Braun and if Murphy come, and all those bigger names, but like the aforementioned, the Zeke, the Sam Beale, the Caleb Whitaker, John Schuyler, even though he got a win. There's a hierarchy, just like there was in the Attitude Era, just like there is now, at least in Impact. I don't know where other places kind of find that. I think everyone's kind of 50-50, but here, when you come in, you're a tag team wrestler or you're a jobber. And I don't mean that in a, you're a jobber and that's all you'll ever be, but that's where that's the position they fill at the time of first coming in. I thought Triple XL broke out of that a little bit. They got the entrance, which I liked. They got the graphics, the music, all that. They put it together. I think they both are talented dudes and individuals, starting to buy into them. I knew it would. It needs to take time. Everyone's like, they need to push now, Craig included. But I think they were just putting it together. These guys weren't a tag team for years outside of Impact. They needed to to gel, and I thought they started to. They were on that path. As far as why he's leaving, I would imagine it's because they don't use him. At some point, you got to bet on yourself. And if you think, one, I'm better than being in a tag team, and two, I got over COVID, I'm getting in better shape, and they're still not rewarding me, it's time for me to go. And then on top of that, you see all these new, literally big guys coming in. Maybe it's a good time for him. I won't shit on him for that. But is it a loss? I mean, we haven't seen enough to make it a loss. It sucks that there's another tag team that's gone. I hope Larry D stays and finds something. It seems like he wants to be part of the team and wants a chance. So, and you could easily find something for him, I think. So as far as the Braun thing, I know I saw a lot of people, a few people online and then in our chat as well, just talking about how they should announce that he's with Impact before he does the EC3 thing. I'm okay with it. The reason is, one, obviously that is not going to be, no offense, but it's not going to sell thousands and thousands and thousands of pay-per-view buys. And if it does, good for them. But what it is giving the guy that was Braun Strowman, that we keep calling Braun Strowman because Adam Scherr, or whatever his real name is foreign to us. It gives this guy the opportunity to go with EC3, control his narrative, change into what he should become, the Titan or whatever he's going to become, and then come to Impact and show that road to Impact. So I'm okay with it. I still think he's headed here, and I think this is the tipping point for him. Same with Wesley Blake, who's putting out stuff, or Weston Blake, excuse me, putting out stuff about controlling the narrative and stuff. So time will tell, but I'm happy with what's coming in. I'm okay with what's going out. But at the same time, as I previously mentioned, they're upping the worth of the Ace Austins, Josh Alexanders, Chris Bays, and I dig that. We're building our future. It was Chris Bay who said, "Yeah, I'm not leaving. This is the place I want to be." And he's only in his 20s. The dude wants to be there. We're getting back to a time when you were Impact, you stayed Impact. And I think we're doing that with our homegrown guys. So I'm very happy with the roster, and I think it only gets better from here.
I agree with you about Acey Romero. I agree that losing a tag team sucks, just because tag teams can sometimes be hard to come by. But you do have Falaba and No Way now teaming, so you kind of got them. But I do think that hopefully Larry D can find somebody, maybe an Otis or whoever that dude who teamed with Otis was in WWE, who were Heavy Machinery. Tucker, yes. So maybe one of them comes in and teams with Larry D, and then they're just double XL instead of triple XL. Who knows? But unfortunately, I think what happened with them was similar to like a football team. If your football team is bad, your stars are going to be up there. But as you add better people to your roster and people develop, those stars get bumped down to the point where they become the low-hanging fruit on the roster. And I think that's what happened. You're adding better people. Your talent, who at the time was still trying to develop, has now started to develop and is now better. So there's less and less time for you. And now, because Impact does appear with some of their signings to be going out and getting people, they're able to get better people. They're not grabbing guys who need development. They're grabbing guys who are already developed and are stars. And then that just puts you in the bottom rung of the roster. And so I think I agree with you. I think that's probably why he's leaving. My concern is I don't know where he's going to go. WWE has just mentioned that they're not going to be signing indie wrestlers, and I don't feel like he fits their like look. AEW is packed, and it seems like at this point they're primarily looking for really big names or so, and I don't know if he fits that role. So maybe he goes to an ROH, but we'll see. I wish him the best of luck if he does leave. As far as Braun, I don't have a problem with him wrestling someplace else. I think it's pretty common for people before they kind of settle down to kind of do a run and kind of wrestle at some certain places. Maybe there are some companies they used to wrestle at, or they have friends that now wrestle there. They're like, hey, let me come here and do some stuff. And then once they're done with that rotation, then they settle down. The Iconics are doing it, or whatever they're called now. them two. I think Tennille did it before she officially came. She kind of did it. So it's not uncommon for people to do that. Like you said, it gives them a chance to reinvent a character, because this isn't AJ Styles who is going to leave WWE and come in as still being
Right.
AJ Styles. Like, he's going to have to develop a new character. So this gives him a chance to do it. And I think the similar thing, it wouldn't surprise me if Buddy Murphy, the first place he wrestles is someplace in Australia first, just to kind of give his, since that's where he's from, or some other company.
I think
first.
he's wrestling at Bloodsport, or one of them.
Is he?
As Matthew Adams, which is, I believe, his real name. Yeah, I think he's wrestling. Damn, I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I think it's in the States.
But when he picks his new name and his new gimmick, it wouldn't surprise me if before he comes to Impact, he wrestles someplace else, unless him and Impact have been talking about his gimmick and they're like, "Hey, we want to debut this gimmick on Impact." So outside that, yeah, I think Impact is moving in the right direction. They've got a lot of talent, and and we'll talk about it more in the X division, but they've got a lot of guys who remind me of when they had guys like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, where you said, yeah, these guys are wrestling in the X division. They look like X division guys, but they can also be your main eventers too. So they've got a lot of that. And so I think they're in a good spot, and they seem to be very smart about who they're adding. They're not just going out there saying, oh, this is an ex-WWE guy, let me add him. Or, oh, let me just add everybody we can to inflate our roster. They're being smart about it, and when they bring people on, they're using them correctly.
That's the key, is not hoarding or not just getting them to get them. We're finally having legit storylines and ideas for these people. And I don't know if that's part of the pitch, but at least it's part of the appeal of Impact, is that we actually...
like... My brain's not working now. All I can think is Brian Myers, but it's 100% not Brian Myers. It's Deonna Purrazzo's boyfriend.
Steve Macklin? You mean in real life? Okay.
Steve Macklin. Yes, in real life. Yeah, Steve Macklin. Like, when he came in, he wasn't somebody that I was like super, like, if you were told me Steve Macklin's coming, I was like, who is this guy? They did the vignettes. I was like, okay, he's cool. The vignettes are good for him. And then they brought him in, and I'm like, okay, I really like this character. And that's what they're doing. Same thing with Matthew Ringwald. Like, it's like, okay, this is really good the way they're debuting these people, and they're giving good storylines, and that's important for a company like Impact.
One thing I want to mention, because I just saw it and it seems pretty random, we have two new countries that have been listening to us, and it's Russia and the Ukraine, so thank you for that. Your flags are up there. If anyone gives me...
I moved it
around so it's tighter. Australia's over there, and I rearranged it.
Okay.
No one gives me shit about that. Wrestling is unity. There we go. All right. Comrades.
All right, so moving on to number 3. After this past week over in NWA, Deonna Purrazzo attacked Mickie James after her match with Kylie Ray at 73. Is this the match we feel is going to happen at Bound for Glory? Are we excited about it? How do we feel this? Does this affect any of the other women on the roster? And are we predicting this is the match at Bound for Glory, Max?
I definitely think that it is going to be the Bound for Glory match, and it's definitely something that I'm excited about. I can't remember who mentioned it. I don't know if it was you or Jeff that mentioned it last week. But no, it's going to be I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's perfect for Deonna. I do think her time is coming close to potentially losing her title, but I think I want to look how long she's been champion. But I think at this point, her taking down Mickie James is kind of the final jewel in her crown of knocking out all the old champions. There's been so many old stars that she's taken out, and it really does add to her belt collector mentality. So I think it's a really good matchup for her. I think it's going to be an exciting matchup because Mickie can still go. She's just she can go just as good as she has in the past. This isn't something to where like Deonna's gonna have to carry her. And I'm interested to see if her, after she beats Mickie, if it leads into her either going after the NWA Women's title or possibly some type of crossover with AEW and her versus Britt Baker. That's a match I would love to see, but I don't think we're going to get it while both of them are champion. Yeah. I think there's a much better chance that we see Deonna win the NWA Women's Championship as opposed to her doing an AEW one, just because they're two biggest stars. But I think it's a good matchup. I think I'm excited for it, and I do think it is one of the matches that does further her storyline as opposed to just kind of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I agree with all that. First first, actually, let's talk about episode 55's trivia question. For those who are audio listeners and didn't get to see the beginning, last week's trivia question was, Mickie James has been a Knockouts champion 3 times for whatever amount of days. Which 3 Knockouts have held the title once, but for a longer number of days? And the answer was Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary, and Taryn Terrell. But with that being said, what she's done in Impact, it can't be denied. She's a 3-time champion. It's when the champions, it wasn't in a very soft period. I mean, rarely did we have one. But the Knockouts were, who was in that crop? Tara and Gail was still there. Was Kong there when Mickie? Yeah, Mickie wrestled Kong. Angelina Love. So a bunch of the heavy hitters were there.
Velvet.
So a bunch of the heavy hitters were were there when she was there. So, we can't discredit that whatsoever. And yeah, she could still go. I love Mickie. I don't make that apparent enough. I'll continue to make it even more apparent. I love what she does in and out of the ring. Kudos to her for the Empower pay-per-view. But Max is right. I think this, Craig had said it, and I agreed, had written it down as well, as our Bound for Glory match was going to be Deonna versus Mickie. When we booked it, it just makes too much sense. And the way Impact is finally going, as far as, I know we say they have long-term booking, which I believe they do, but this is depth. We had that whole thing at the last tapings of her just trying to get her onto Empower. She gets on Empower. She's successful. And then on NWA 73, she attacks her as a hit. We're adding layers to this rivalry. So I don't think it's something that would happen at a Victory Road. It happens. It has to happen at Bound for Glory. I would love it if it was NWA and Impact title on the line. As much as I love Mickie, though, I don't want Deonna to be beat by her. As you mentioned before, I won't say older, but I'll say stars that used to wrestle in the past for us. So she's beat past stars, Deonna, before in Jazz, ODB. I know I'm missing somebody. Melina, obviously now. But I think Mickie James is another stepping stone for her. Then she can start a feud with someone who's new to the company or already in the company and go for the title there. Or defend the title.
She's also only 86 days away from tying Taya Valkyrie for longest reign.
So she needs to retain.
Which makes me believe that, and we'll mention this more in the X Division one as well, I think Impact is at a point now where they want to reward the people who have picked them over other companies. So you're going to see Deonna become the longest reigning single reign of Knockouts champion, so that she always has that as kind of a reward for saying, I want to be with Impact. So I think that's where that's also going. And you can't do that, 86 days. I think that would put you
past Bound for Glory.
Yeah. So, you would have to retain.
I'm cool with that. And I am. You should be, it's just, I want to bring up the point. I know we have obviously more to get to, but with Victory Road, I can't say it enough because I keep seeing that Christian and Ace graphic and the Sabin and Josh graphic. And now we're talking about Deonna and Mickie. We're talking about Impact putting stars that are still relevant, but not in the twilight of their career, but on that last leg, and not for the worse. So I really dig the Deonna Mickie thing. I hope that's where they go. And I hope Impact keeps giving us more of this. Maybe America's Most Wanted coming back to face Good Brothers, as I mentioned. The Wolves we've mentioned before. It's these things that they're doing like this that are dope, that really pass the torch to what Impact is becoming. Christian, and I know people argue this, Christian winning the championship and then retiring the TNA belt felt okay. I love that belt. But looking back on it, especially, Christian is the only person that's a free agent or available that could really have won that belt that wasn't homegrown in Impact. To retire it and me not be mad. Because the same with Mickie and the same with Sabin. These people have busted their ass for years, not only in the business, but in our ring, to make it here and still be here. So I love it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone else as it, unless it's somewhere where they do the old switcheroo and Mickie brings in Camille or something. But I'm for it.
All right, kicking it to everything before now. This again over in the NWA. Awesome Kong announced her retirement, which has led Gail, Kim included, many people to question whether Awesome Kong is the next Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer. Is that a possibility? Do we think Awesome Kong is the next Impact Hall of Famer, Jeff?
Short answer, yes. I can't see Gail saying something and it not happening. And that's not saying she's guaranteeing it or she's saying it will happen, just that she's mentioning it and wishing it to an existence. I just can't see it not happening. I told you that I argued with someone in the damn, like an idiot, like a child, in the YouTube chat, or excuse me, the Twitch chat that was there prior, before they left Twitch. And they were like, oh, Awesome Kong's retired. Awesome Kong's retired. I said, prove it. Where's the article? Why? Because she left AEW, she's retired? She's not retired. And then, okay, she comes out and retires. So now I can shut the fuck up about Kong coming back in wrestling. It was a perfect moment. They came, got their notoriety together. They go out together, Gail and her. It was a really cool moment. And I'm okay with it. I love how Impact does one Hall of Fame induction each year. I like that. I think with Impact, you could obviously burn through people if you were to do it the WWE way. And also, this makes it more prestigious. Look at the names that are in there. There's not a one you're like, why? Why are you in there? Everyone makes sense. And everyone is a name that people remember outside of TNA. So if you add an Awesome Kong, I think she gets still the WWE fans who like Karma and the AEW fans who think she's part of AEW. And then obviously the old TNA fans and our fans who love her, and then the Japanese fans as well. So I think she makes sense on a lot of different fronts. I love that it would be just her. I think she'd only be the second woman knockout inducted. It's only Gail.
Yeah.
The only other thing, if they do a woman and a male, a female, whatever thing, I wouldn't be mad with Christian. I said that before. I don't like people who are still wrestling getting, Hall of Fame. It just seems kind of whatever, especially if the person's our champion. So if it's just one, I'm okay with Awesome Kong, but I have to make a mention because I keep friggin' forgetting to mention. I teased it as who I would want to be a guest commentator at Bound for Glory. And if they could stick with it, because I love Matt Striker. I got to listen to him talk for hours. D'Lo, I love D'Lo. Always have, but I think they need one more voice to kind of help fill the gaps for D'Lo and Matt. And I think that's Mike Tenay. I love Mike Tenay. He's on the trading cards. He lives in Vegas. Let's remember that. And he could be inducted. So if we get a Mike Tenay induction as well, I would love if it was Don too. I'm sure he would too, but so maybe they just wait because of Don's health. But either way, Mike Tenay was the person I was alluding to before. I hope that would be the only other male that would be inducted. But Kong, she's got my vote.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you on the Christian thing with him still actively wrestling. It might not necessarily, especially with him actively wrestling in Impact at Bound for Glory as a champion. That's a little weird. So yeah, I agree with that. As cool as it would be, I agree that maybe it may not be the best time for him. But I think with Kong retiring, I do think it's a good idea to put her in with everything she's done. Like, she's someone that if you've seen her one time, she stands out in your mind. She was so different, and not just a powerhouse, but like we've seen like powerhouse women before, but she was a different animal than like what you normally saw as your big powerful women. It's like, I guess to compare it with like Brock Lesnar when he went to UFC. Like, yes, you've seen strong people before, but he was a different animal. He just did, and that's what she was. She was so powerful, so incredible, and so amazing to watch. And she did have a huge impact on TNA at the time. So I do think it would be a great honor to put her in and a reward for her for everything she's done. And I do think the fact that she retired kind of sets it up beautifully and is the natural, like, this is who we want to do. And the fact that we haven't heard anything from Impact yet makes me think that they were in the process of trying to figure out who they wanted to, they weren't sure. And I just think if they weren't sure who they wanted, with Kong retiring, this just sets everything up. The dominoes just all fell into place. So I think she would be the perfect person. I do think putting a second person in might be interesting, but I do agree with you that the WWE Hall of Fame has gotten into a hall of pretty good, unfortunately. I like The Godfather, but he's not hall like this, like, and that's the thing. Like, Impact still has that like NFL Hall of Fame thing where it's not the Hall of Very Good, it's the Hall of Fame. And Impact still has that aura around it of everybody that is in here belongs to be in here, and it's not just a lifetime achievement award of thanks for being a part of the Attitude Era. Here's your spot in the Hall of Fame, like WWE has. So I do think it would be a good idea to just have one person and then make that their Hall of Fame day, as opposed to adding a second, outside of situations when you put like a tag team in.
I like that.
All right, so with 15 minutes to go, we come to number 5, and moving on to the X division. Obviously, with the return of Jake Crist on this week's Impact, and the comments made by Josh Alexander saying that this is the most prestigious championship in professional wrestling. And on top of that, Chris Sabin saying that he is the best X division wrestler. How do we see the X division right now? Is it the best it's ever been? Is there room for improvement? Is Josh Alexander the best X division champion? Can he be, or is Chris Sabin? Max, with you.
So, in terms of the best X division ever, it might be the most talented X division ever. When you think of guys like Ace Austin, Chris Bay, Josh Alexander, Rohit Raju, Trey, like TJP, who wasn't even there, there might be, top to bottom, this may be the most talented X division ever. In terms of best, it's hard because unfortunately nostalgia gets you, and looking back at like Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles and those Kazarian and all that, like that to me is when I think of X division, that's what sticks in my mind. So it's going to be hard for me to say that this is better, just because unfortunately the nostalgia of that gets me. But I definitely think if he says it the most prestigious bout, I agree with him on that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the heavyweight title kind of changes with the name. It was first the NWA title, and then it was the TNA title, and now it's the Global Force Wrestling title, and now it's the Impact title. It's just the X Division title. And no matter who has changed, it's always been the X Division title. There's no like break in history from the first champion to this champion. It's a solid line. There's no, well, we used to use the NWA title and then we created our own. Like, nope, since we started the X Division Championship with Champion 1 to now, look at the people who've held it.
Lineage.
I mean, it's like, yeah, like the lineage. Like, I mean, it's AJ Styles, Austin Aries held it, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. Like, you're talking some of the best wrestlers in the world have held this title, or even have competed for this title. Abyss, Brian Kendrick, just those top tier. I mean, but just like Rob Van Dam, like there's a lot of really powerful names that have held that title. And I like the fact that Josh Alexander is talking about, this is the most prestigious title, because it really points to a direction of what's going to happen. I know a lot of people had talked about, I know I had talked about him getting his championship, like world championship run. But if he's talking about this being the most prestigious, it leads me to believe that, similar to Deonna breaking Taya Valkyrie's record, that he's going to end up breaking Austin Aries. And if he does that, he's got a ways to go, because he's at 128 days. I swear he's held that title longer, but it's only 128 days. He's behind guys like Jay Lethal, Rob Van Dam, Michael Shane, DJZ, Petey Williams. So there's a lot of guys. Tigre Uno held it. Can you imagine our second longest reigning champion for a single reign is Tigre Uno? But so he's got a ways to go to catch Austin Aries. And with what he's saying, it leads me to believe that Impact is basically saying, hey, we're going to make you the most dominant X Division champion ever. And that's what the prestige that you're going to get. And I like that, because it's showing that it's very similar to how in New Japan, when Nakamura had the Intercontinental Championship, it became almost as important as the world, like the IWGP World Heavyweight or IWGP Heavyweight Championship at the time. You're getting to the point where if Josh Alexander continues to defend it and just defends it against everybody, you're going to get to the point where you can make the claim that that's just as important as the world title. And it's 1A and 1B. And I think that would be awesome for Impact to get to that point where you have a debate over who is really the best champion in Impact, the Impact champion or the X Division champion.
Yeah, man. I know we're short on.
Oh yeah, go Jake Crist. Good job. Welcome back.
I'll mention Jake, and then I'll go into I'll let what you said stand for itself, because I agree with you. But let me talk Jake first, and I'll just say this: I'm never against someone getting a job. If he gets one, I'm happy. If he doesn't, I'm still happy. He got at least the spotlight. I see the appeal of Jake Crist, the creativity, the wrestling ability. I just don't think taking on another 38-something-year-old and trying to it's just the locker room is getting full. If he comes on board, awesome. He's a great hand. But I don't think it's as big a deal as all these people online are making. I know he has his fan club and whatever, and that's great. Sell, make do whatever you do. He deserves it. He's a talent. But I'm not for or against. It's not a big deal to me. What is a big deal to me? Exactly what you said. For me, who's a Captain Day Oneer nostalgic king over here, where that always wins, I will agree with you and say that this is maybe from top to bottom the best locker room for the X Division of all time. We've had great times. We've had great wrestlers. We've had 3 great ones, but from top to bottom, it is deep. And anyone could step up and challenge him on any night, and I dig that. His reign is short in the grand scheme of things, but he's on his way to make it a very prestigious title run. And the reason I say, or the way I grade title runs, it's kind of hard, because how are you going to remember everyone's, I remember Chris Sabin held it 8 times. I could tell you each time, but can I tell you who he beat in that time frame? Can I tell? So the early bird, the more recent will always get the attention. But with that being said, I don't think I will ever forget the rise of Josh Alexander. He's putting on banger after banger, and now he's doing this storyline where it's the most prestigious and that he wants to challenge all form. So this is a reign that will stick out in the annals of time. From AJ's first one to Joe's first one. So to all those different things there. So as far as run, yes. I'm not ready to put him as the best of all time. I think because I don't think winning 8 times makes you the best. That makes you a 9-time loser, right? Or 7-time loser. Yeah, 9-time loser.
Yep.
But I respect what Chris Sabin has done. I still think AJ is the definitive X Division champion just because of what he represented, and he was the first. And Max is right. The lineage of that belt is phenomenal. It really is. So that belt does mean a lot. Will I say it means more than the WWF or WWE one? I mean, that's hard. That one goes back to forever. But even those have had the great Khali's and the, those of the world that have held it. Maybe he held the world championship, but whatever. But this is not tainted. And of course, there's a few people on there that don't make sense, but top to bottom, it's a great division. Now it was a great division then. He's making it important. And it's funny you bring up Austin Aries. He's another guy who lives in Las Vegas. He's another guy who also commented on Josh making open challenge to former X Division champions. I know that there's a stigma around Austin Aries, the human being. But if you were to tell me that Josh Alexander is challenging former X Division champions, says, you know what, I'm not going to cash this in at Bound for Glory. I'm going to defend this at Bound for Glory. No matter who you give me, I will win, and I will be the longest running X Division champion of all time. Who better to come out and challenge him than Austin Aries? For a one day, granted he doesn't beat him, banger of a match. Why the hell not? Austin Aries, even at his age, it will tear it down with Josh Alexander. And it makes a lot of sense with all these things we're doing, bringing guys from the past back who are still relevant, can still go, and are mixing and mingling them with our new talent that we think is equivalent or going to be on that same level one day as they were. So I'm happy with that. The one thing I do want to mention, because our friend Combat Republic mentioned it in the chat group, and I think it's something we should think about. We could go over just a little bit, but with all these people in the States right now, right? We have New Japan guys. It's rumored that Laredo Kid, Ishimori, all these people are here in the States. Obviously, they're on New Japan Strong, so that makes sense. Vikingo might come back. What about a World Cup? Is this the time to bring back the X Division World Cup? PD and Josh will obviously represent Canada. I'm sure there's someone else we could throw in there. I'm sure you could put a group together with Ishimori if he comes. And who else was wrestling? I mean,
Suzuki's here.
Talking about Japan? I mean, I know the Good Brothers are always from Tokyo,
World
Japan.
Cup of X Division.
So they
X
technically
Division.
could.
X Division.
Oh,
yeah, there was an X Division World Cup that was really big.
Ishimori, Kenta.
So there's a
there.
lot of people that could possibly fill it. That
El Phantasmo could go to.
Yeah, I mean,
Japan. I mean, he's from New Japan, so he would be.
Jack Evans
New
was on
Japan,
Team Canada, so
as opposed to.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's something to think over. World Cup. There's a lot of great talent in all the companies. Where Forbidden Doors open. There's a lot of good young talent. Look out for something like that. And it's something maybe we'll discuss next time with Michael Cavaccini, as he will be here to spill the TNA. Craig, we have 4 minutes, so we did pretty well. Is there anything we should hit more on or talk about? Obviously, besides that the chat room's empty. So, guys, as we mentioned before, if you're now just tuning in at the last moment, we are taping this on a Friday. This is preempted. Our chat room is blank. Our heart and soul is not here, but we hope you're watching. Comment, like on this video. Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you guys said, especially with the X Division. So I think you see Josh Alexander being the one to break all the records as X Division champion. Yeah, it kind of has to be after everything that's been said. He's arguably the greatest wrestler in the world currently.
I mean, I
wrestler.
wouldn't argue with that. I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, we could say we're homers or biased, or someone could say we're homers or biased, but when someone goes out there and everyone stands up like they used to for Kurt Angle and for Shawn Michaels and for, even Kenny Omega, these guys that when they go out there, you're like, okay, let's watch this. I remember stinky ass TNA pay-per-views at some points and then Kurt Angle's music hits and you're like, okay, Let's let's stand up straight because this is going to be a banger. Even when he was wrestling Matt Morgan and people of that nature. I think he's on that level.
Yeah, and in terms of what you guys said about the X Division and the world title being on the same level because of how it's defended and how prestigious it can be, I would also maybe make a case for the Knockouts title to be in that discussion.
Fair enough.
Where I think things are going really solid for that championship, for all championships in Impact.
I definitely think with the Knockouts division, it's outside of companies that only have women. It's definitely, to me, like, been the strongest women's division in any wrestling
ever
company. Technically, you can talk about WWE being deeper, but I don't think they've ever used their women's division correctly enough to get to that depth.
I agree.
So I'm waiting to the point where Charlotte gets one away from breaking Rick's record, and then leaves to go to AEW and breaks his record there after WWE's been fast tracking.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. But yeah, no, Craig, I mean, I think that's a great point as well. I think, the world heavyweight aside, and once again, when who runs the what is his name? Oh, whatever. Whoever does the social media for Impact, when they put the new world champion, they always do the same one where they put the name of each champion that's held the title prior, starting with Kurt Angle, moving on. So ignoring the NWA. The name of the list of people on there aren't something to scoff at. That list is insane. And yes, some of it was on people's end tails of their career, like Mick Foley. But at the same time, I mean, to have Angle, Sting, Foley, Joe, AJ Styles, these are names that Bobby Roode, James Storm, these are names that will continue to be said. And obviously there's, Mr. Anderson and Tessa who could be fringe in time, but
I mean, even Tessa though, I mean, she was like, that was huge when she did that.
But where do we go from here? As in, is she coming back? Does she wrestle somewhere else? Does she continue her name? Or will it be, we don't know. I hope so. I hope she can regain it. She's talented. Pentagon did for like a day thanks to Alberto Del Rio. Aries, obviously. So, I mean, the list is long of talented people there. And same goes for Tag. Tag was another one. I've always said this about Impact and TNA before it. They're not ECW's island of misfit toys. They're the toys that don't get played with, that should be played with. Meaning, these are the AJ Styles of the world, Bobby Roodes of the world, Christopher Daniels, Chris Sabin, Samoa Joe, all these guys that weren't WWE's cup of tea were guys we brought on and found spots for that made sense. We created an X division when no one was doing cruiserweight and small stuff. We were doing tag team, matches in 2005 when there wasn't even a thought at the other places. The woman, same thing. So we're always the trendsetter when it comes to finding the things, the niches that other places don't fill and making them our own. So, yeah. Impact for me is the place to be. If you're an up-and-comer or you're an artist, that's what you should do. Go to Impact Wrestling. Craig, why don't you send us out and we'll say our goodbyes.
Yep. So, as mentioned before, you can find us here, there, and everywhere. Don't forget to check out State of Impact every Tuesday. We bring you all the rumor roundup for the week. And, of course, drop us a like here on the video. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. And drop us a follow on Twitch. And wherever you actually find us, just follow us and promise you won't be disappointed. Nothing but nonsense. And I guess that's a goodbye from me.
Same for me. Max, you got anything, bud?
Christian versus Kenny Omega.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Or if you're watching this Saturday. We'll see. I mean, it doesn't affect us, so I'm happy about that.
Well, or tonight, yeah.
Either way, I'm happy that our title's not on the line. I see us getting away from that relationship for a little bit, it seems. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy whatever wrestling you're watching. Remember to be kind to each other. Be nice. We all love wrestling. It should be something that unifies us, not separates us. And on that note, I'm going to troll for a second. Carl Anderson, you're a fucking god. Oh, good stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you next time for episode 57. As Craig said, go watch State of Impact. You guys are kicking ass on that. 8 to 10 minutes, your one-stop video every Tuesday with Craig and I giving you everything you need to know for Impact Wrestling for the week. See you next time, guys.
Later, guys.